Dave Vandervelde, on behalf of Christopher Burke, was able to tender a document that we asked Council Romello to look at, and my understanding is that Serino, Romello, and Durkin have done reviews of contracts previously that involved Christopher Burke doing the engineering, and again, I'm not trying to talk for you, Rich, but Rich, his firm has put together this attachment A to cover, I think, a lot of the proposals and not proposals, but the street program, and doing this on behalf of the village for our protection. Dave just got this, Dave Vandervelde, along with myself this week, and it's quite extensive, but Dave, you told me before the meeting that you believe that it's something that your firm could live with the modifications here.
Yeah, it's a change from what the normal course, what's normally done. One thing I would like to ask Rich, if you could send me a Word document of the same thing, because you've got a lot of forms you want incorporated into bidding documents. It would be a big help rather than us having to retype everything we got in a PDF. But yeah, some things we'll deal with, we'll make it work.
Well, I'm of the opinion, not being an engineer and knowing that council is looking out for our best interest, to go forward with approving the engineering agreement, with the resolution to approve the engineering agreement for the road improvement services with Christopher Burke. The estimate is for, about 7.5% of the construction cost.
Correct. For design and construction observation.
The specifications, estimates, pavement evaluation, and material testing, bidding assistance, and the full-time construction observation.
That's for the roadway program.
For the roadway program, and that's all we're talking about. I'm not talking about Cascade or Pontiac water main.
Right.
The estimated fee here is $175,500. We can approve this contract with Christopher Burke for several reasons, and in particular because we've had a past relationship with the engineering firm, and they have provided engineering services to us along the way on a day-to-day basis over the years, and most recently bid project was helping us get the bidding going for the Cochise project. So I know you haven't had, the trustees, a chance to go through the lengthy document. However, I believe having faith in our engineers and our legal counsel is something that we should take and not delay moving forward with the program, because you can still, Rich, I think you said you can pass this resolution with the proviso that it would allow for council and the engineering firm to make such modifications as might be mutually agreeable for the benefit of moving the project along. Do something like that. If you want to do that, sure.
Right, you guys are still looking at it, right?
Yes.
You're just
Yeah,
saying,
we got
you're
it
just
yesterday.
evaluating it, you saw it yesterday.
Yeah.
So obviously it's gonna be black line and they're gonna mark it up.
Well, probably not. The big thing that I flagged out, we can work with what we have there. It's just more tedious than what
Yeah.
we're used to doing. But the 14-day advertisement, which we already discussed, that was in there. That was gonna be a bit of a problem, but I think we've got that straightened out.
So
here, too.
that's on its face is an amendment that would be made in that.
Was there anything else that was a major concern that?
We got halfway through.
Okay.
I would entertain a motion to the resolution here. I would entertain to approve the resolution authorizing the execution of an agreement between the Village of Indian Head Park, Illinois, and Christopher B. Burke Engineering Limited for the furnishing of professional engineering services for the 2014 road improvement project is presented with Exhibit A being the revisions, or the agreement, I guess it's called, presented by council, subject to further modification between the engineering firm and council on behalf of the village is mutually agreeable and appropriate.
At section 301, that would be changed from 14 days to 12 days.
So with that, I would entertain that motion with that, with those provisions.
I'll make the motion.
Moved by trustee Walsh. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Schnaufer. Roll call, please.
Are we gonna have any discussion?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Is there any other, seeing that we just got it, we can't go off the old deal, extend that, any other option to this?
I don't know how to answer that.
I'm sorry, trustee, I'm not sure what you're asking, any other option.
Well, we just got the material today, at least I did, you got it yesterday, but for us as a board, any other option that we have, could we extend the old agreement, I'm not sure if that applies. So this has to be approved to do the road project and the bids and everything else we've been talking about for the last half an hour, is that right?
Yeah, I don't think we have an existing agreement for them to do this work.
All right.
This would be the agreement they
And
have.
we talked about you representing the village and you and your firm maybe making changes. Is that something that we would have to do within the next 30 days, or is there a period, or is that only the one change that you said, section 302 or whatever that was?
Well, first, I don't anticipate there to be any major changes. I spoke with Mike Kerr from Chris Burke's office, the fellow who sent the proposal over. We have probably done 30 or 40 agreements that have involved Chris Burke with various municipalities in Chicago area using this form with some minor changes. So I don't really think that there's any significant changes, but there might be small things like changing this time period for advertising from 14 to 12 days, but nothing significant. Dave can speak if he believes otherwise, but I really don't think there's any major change that would be involved in the agreement. As I said, it's a pretty standard agreement, incorporates the standard specs for road and bridge construction in Illinois, incorporates the things that are required by Illinois statutes, and other than that, it's pretty boilerplate.
Thank you.
Yeah, just one comment. I guess from a board standpoint, our main concern from our main focus is really the cost. Obviously, the engineering, 7.5% of the project is, from what I understand, to your reasonable and customary cost for the engineering work on the project. Is that accurate, council?
I wouldn't say it's not typical, it is typical, I think it's probably typical, but they vary depending on the amount of work, the amount of on-site observation that's required, the amount of design. Dave could probably tell you that, some projects are pretty simple to design, they don't involve many structures, et cetera, they're simple to paving. Other ones require a lot of topography, grading, sewer structures, et cetera. The more those kind of things are involved, the more drawings you have to do, the more specifications you have to do, the more engineering, and the more observation. So these can be up or down.
And Dave, what would be your comment on the percentage?
I
I believe that was the percentage you quoted us in the beginning, basically, so it's very consistent.
The only reference frame I can give you, standard IDOT agreements for, say, their maintenance program. If you were gonna do this same project as the maintenance program through IDOT, their standard rates is 5% for design and 6% for construction, for a total of 11. Again, as Rich alluded to, the magnitude tends to reduce the cost to get you there. You can have a $50,000 job that is $20,000 in engineering, but once seven figures, the engineering comes down. And we, as Rich again said, we don't have to go out and do topography, survey the whole job to get a working document that we can bid with, simply because of the facts that we discussed earlier. A lot of the curbs staying in place. The only place we have to get a survey is on Arrowhead, because otherwise, once they took the curb out, they'd be free fall and trying to figure out where it came from. So, yeah, we are able to cut back, scale back some of the work we normally do for a job like this.
Anybody else? Okay, call the roll, please.
Trustee Walsh.
Yes.
Trustee Schnaufer.
Yes.
Trustee Henshaw.
Yes.
Trustee Wittenberg.
Yes.
Trustee Lockwood.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great, thank you, everybody. And so, Rich, you and Mr. Vanderbilt's firm will work it out? Absolutely. Okay, thank you. Next item of business is approval of resolution regarding extension of municipal electric aggregation agreement. A little background. I believe it was in February when we started in anticipation of the aggregation agreement expiring on May 1st, to look into continuing the aggregation program. And again, this is one of the late document pile of paperwork that I had to dig through to walk in, and was delayed in delivery because of my email computer problem. And again, not realizing that it hadn't been sent to Kathy. I knew I had seen it, and that was when the thing worked, and then couldn't get to it. And anyway, here it is. But these are the documents we need to do to act on this, and that's why it's on the agenda. The situation boils down to this. As I recall, when we talked about it in February, I think Trustee Wittenberg had asked, was there a way we could just renew the agreement we had with Constellation Energy? And I think at that time, we were not sure if we could do that. So there was an understanding agreement that we would go out to bid. Thereafter, I was contacted by a representative from Constellation Energy, and I said, well, we're going out for bid, because they wanted to renew. And he said, oh no, wait, time out. Your agreement provides for the provision to extend. And I talked to Rich about it. They sent us a copy, and they outlined or indicated in the power supply agreement where we could go forward, or we could extend it. And it's Article 3.1 in the term. I believe that's what it was. Was it 3.1 or 3.2? Oh, 3.3, excuse me. Article 3, 3.3, extension. The village and the alternate retail energy supply may extend the term for additional periods of time up to 36 monthly billing periods for each extension by written agreement approved and executed by each party. So I said, give me, I talked to the gentleman, I said, what's the deal? What's the proposal going to be? What's the rate? We went into aggregation at 4.899, call it 4.9 cents a kilowatt hour, at a time when Commonwealth Edison was over 8 cents per kilowatt hour. It was a good savings. The response from Constellation was, when can your board act on this? I said, well, when we have a board meeting after we know what the proposal is. And it turns out the energy market, and maybe other members of the board are more expert on this than I am, but it's like the stock market, and it fluctuates within the day as well as day to day, and nobody wants to tell you what their bid price is going to be until they're very close to knowing whether you're going to approve it or not. They're not going to give you an estimate on March 31st and wait until April 10th for you to say yes or no to it. So I got the work going to extend it, and I had put them in touch with council, and council in touch with the Constellation, and he drafted the extension agreement, which was the red line version, and it's kind of lengthy here. I don't know if this repeats a lot of this stuff, Rich, or?
Basically took the original power supply agreement and just converted it to an extension. So
Okay, so that explains the bulk to it. A lot of it is probably identical. But the point is if we approve it, it would extend an agreement with Constellation Energy for, we would insert the period of time in the rate, correct?
So the draft you have has a 36-month rate, but they quoted us fees on 12, 24, and 36 months.
Okay, thank you. And that was delivered to trustees prior to the meeting here. And this was just received basically today at 4:03 PM from Constellation. And here's the rates. And again, what we have now, but it's expiring, and the market, the energy costs are higher. A 12-month proposal is .0738 cents per kilowatt hour for 12 months. 24 is .0744, and 36 months, .0719.
And this was dollars.
Well, yeah, those are dollars, but
Dollars.
it comes out to like
7.19
cents. Right. Okay. Thank you for the correction. I misspoke on it, but 7.3 cents roughly for 12 months, 7.4 cents for 24 months goes up, and then for 36 months it comes down to 7.1 cent per kilowatt hour. 2-cent increase, we're roughly at 5 cents, 2/5, 40% increase in the cost of electricity from Constellation. Right now, the ComEd rate is
5.523 plus 0442, what's called the
5.53 plus
5.523, and the PEA, I believe, is 0442.
so 5.57 roughly.
5.965,
5.965.
and that'll go till the end of May.
And at the end of May, ComEd rates, new rate will be coming out, correct?
Yep.
I remember something in the discussion along the line when I talked to the gentleman from Constellation, that the market was fluctuating between 6.8 cents and 7.2 or 3 cents per kilowatt hour. And you see the rates that they're quoting us are roughly about 7.1 cent per kilowatt hour. So it's going up. I'm actually disappointed at the rate that, the quote that we got out today. Maybe it was lower yesterday and it could be lower tomorrow or Monday. If we were to go forward with this, and this is just how this came about. I talked to council about it, and council gave me some information. I'll ask him to repeat about what's going on with other clients that Serena, Ramel, and Durkin represent with regard to electrical aggregation. So I think the appropriate time, could you share that information with all of us?
Other of your surrounding communities have recently gone out to bid, and the current market is similar to the quotes that you've received here. They're in the 7s, and the other thing is most of the bids have come back with a requirement that they will not agree to or meet the bid specification that provides for automatic termination, or the option to terminate. I guess it would be not automatic, but the option to terminate when the ComEd rate is lower than the alternate retail electric supplier's rate. So basically, they've all said that because they're not imposing a termination fee, that rather than allow the village to terminate the program when the rates get upside down, when the ComEd rate is lower than the alternate energy supplier, that they would permit the people individually to terminate without cost and go to ComEd or whatever energy supplier they chose at that point, but they will not offer a village-wide termination clause in the contract.
If we extend an agreement with Constellation in connection with the immediate extension, is there an opt-out period for the residents?
Yes, they have 21-day, by, not only by the agreement, but under the rules of the ICC, with days of continuous aggregation, the minimum opt-out period is 21 days, either on a new agreement or on their own.
And pursuant to, then this would be the extension agreement, if the ComEd rate drops below the contractual rate we have with the extension, does that trigger another opt-out for the residents?
Well, it's not really an opt-out, it's a termination, so it allows the village to terminate the aggregation power supply agreement with Constellation in the event that the ComEd rate goes below the Constellation rate. That's a provision that was in the original agreement, and under the extension, it's proposed to be preserved. Obviously, Constellation has not signed off on that yet, but that was in the original agreement, and by extension would be extended to the extended period.
So, couple of options here. Option one is that we could approve this resolution for the 36-month rate or such other term we would choose pursuant to the quotation we received today from Constellation Energy, and have those provisions about the initial opt-out period of the residents, or later it would be a village-wide aggregation termination if the ComEd rate dropped lower. Correct.
Yes.
What would happen if we just dropped this whole program at the end of this contract? We'd had everybody just automatically go back to Commonwealth Edison then?
Yes.
You wouldn't have to do anything, you just automatically go back?
Right, you'd be in mass transferred back over to ComEd supply for electricity.
We'd have to give them notice we're doing that, though, right? It's not, they don't turn the power off immediately?
No, they don't turn that power off, it's just who supplies the power, that's all.
Okay, somebody would ask that. The second option obviously is to go back as we started this program and go out with a formal bid, knowing the way things have been going, as Rich articulated about other clients, and not having that termination provision later if the ComEd rate were to go lower. Also, I'd like to share this with you. I had talked to Dave Brink, and he found this for me. Northbrook residents continue to save on electricity, and it's talking about the North Shore Electricity Aggregation Consortium, and they're talking about a rate of about 6.688 for the final year of a 3-year contract with a company called MC Squared Energy. I don't read a lot into that because they obviously had a 3-year agreement, and this is their 3rd year, and that's what the rate's going to be. I don't know what the provisions were initially, but the part that caught my attention where in this article it talks about ComEd's estimated residential rate, notwithstanding what it currently is, which I understand will go through the end of May. The estimated residential rate from June of this year till the end of May of next year is 7.63 cents per kilowatt hour. So Constellation's rates on all three terms, 12, 24, and 14 months, would be lower if that estimate on the ComEd rate holds true, at least for the next year. They're talking about this North Shore Electricity Aggregation Consortium price increase from the current rate is due to a significant rise in the price of capacity effective June 1st, 2014. Capacity is the cost of generating electricity to meet demand during peak times, and that is also what's driving the cost of ComEd price to go up. So I guess there are three options. We could decide not to go forward with aggregation and cut everybody over, cut it loose, and let everybody go back to ComEd, or do it individually on their own with other companies. And I think we got into the aggregation program because we believed and the residents supported it at the ballot box, that we could get a better deal as a group. Second option is to adopt the resolution with one of the terms at the prices quoted by Constellation, knowing in the worst case, if the ComEd rate goes below the contract rate, we give them a notice of termination, and we cut the residents loose, and you go over to the ComEd rate, and you know it's gonna be the same or cheaper, actually cheaper than the Constellation rate. Or we go and bid and see if we can get a better price someplace else. Trustee Hinshaw.
I believe in this agreement we're under, and the new one, as I'm understanding it, a resident could cancel. At any point, they could switch, go to ComEd, go to an XYZ company. So, right, they could do whatever they want, an individual.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do you recall if that provides for a termination penalty?
No, it's through the opt-out program. The 21 days when you opt, you have the option to opt out. You can go with whoever you want.
Okay.
But after that 21 days,
That was your question, right? Okay.
is there a termination penalty?
After
There's no, I don't believe there's a termination fee.
So as a resident, they could switch anytime they want with no penalty. That's what I could think of.
And would that provision would carry over in the extension agreement?
Yes.
So, if the prices were a little bit lower, I'd be very comfortable in making a recommendation to approve the resolution with the proposal, because it seems that there are safeguards in there for individual residents who want to quit whenever they want. We still have a benefit of aggregation, which although is higher right now than ComEd, that, and I heard this from other people, including the gentleman at Constellation. Constellation is a subsidiary of ComEd anyway. I give that a little more credence when they say they know that the parent company is going to be higher than their rate. There's got to be a reason for that, or they'd be that company, right? But I don't know if anybody knows what the future will hold. So to trustees, I would ask, I guess for us to discuss it further, then I would entertain a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the execution of an extension to the power supply agreement for municipal aggregation of electric supply for the village of Indian Head Park, Illinois, at whatever term that the board would suggest. Let me just start it out by entertaining it for the 3-year, the 36-month time period, which would be the 7.1 cents per kilowatt hour. It's the cheapest rate of the three anyway. Anybody care to make that?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, made by trustee Schnaufer. Is there a second?
A second?
Second by trustee Hinshaw. Discussion, trustees.
Well,
Thank-
the only thing that I see is on pluginillinois.org. I know you gave us some information about some municipalities you saw renew. Maybe it's